So the main thing that we were talking about today for competition from a prelim to a final or like a final to a placement is really making sure that you're consistent. Part of what was happening is that you were doing variations, but the variations were too spread out to where if a judge looked at you for like 2 patterns, it'd be pretty likely that they wouldn't see any variation from you, which is primarily what you're getting judged on in an intermediate level. So we talked about meeting a quota or matching a structure of 1 variation every single pattern, but just 1. So not doing multiple things, just 1 variation and then honing it back into basic. So a couple of the variations we talked about today that don't affect the partner, don't affect the connection, are levels and angles, which are a part of my 4 elements of dynamic. Levels, angles, speed change, rhythm change. I don't teach these until advanced all-star because they are partner dependent, meaning that if I do them, it does affect connection and I have to signal. So levels and angles don't affect connection and you don't need to signal them, which is why I like them for a lower division. So levels would be me doing a level change up, level change down, angling open, angling closed. Now we did a little drill on that where you just hold it for the entire pattern, then you go back and forth, hold it, go back and forth, just to try every combination that there is. So your default, in my opinion, should be levels and angles. They work in any pattern, any count. You can always change your orientation or change your orientation. Now, other things that we talked about were the 3 F's. So we talked about foot placement, floating, and feet off the floor. Foot placement is me thinking about crossing in front, I can cross behind, and then I can cross right underneath me, right underneath me. Then we talked about floating, which would be me going back, 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 or me going side, side, back, side, side, back. And then feet coming up off the floor is me picking my knees up, kicks, flicks, and then ronde, I teach off the floor just as an option, or like a back attitude as an option to think about. Oh my god, that scared me. Sorry, I just heard some noise there.
I'm so sorry, I did it again.
So, that back attitude with your feet coming up off the floor. If I give you like another 4 variations that I think are basic, would be kickball change, which you do, hitches, different variations of hitches would be open hitch, closed hitch, double bend hitch, double straight hitch, leg up, leg back, flick and go. So all of those are different hitch variations that I like, and you can use all of those on kickball changes as well. Then I teach like body rolls, body roll, body roll, body roll, and then ronde as options. So that gives you like a solid list of things that you can do. And then anything that you already do naturally. Again, you're just doing it every single pattern, and if you draw a blank and you have no idea what to do, you just do a level change. I talked a little bit about musicality being the goal for advanced, but it's not what you're limited to or not where you're really being judged on in intermediate. Intermediate is just force it, force it, force it, because you don't know if you know the song or like it, or if you like your partner. Little technical things we touched on, we're going to be collecting and then a little bit in your arm. So thinking about when you collect, I wanted to see it more on your anchors, really making sure that your upper thighs, knees, and ankles all have a magnet on them, and you squeeze it in between every traveling step. I really just want it on the anchor. So 5 and 6, collect, go. You were doing 5 and 6 and just your upper thighs and ankle were touching, which this still looks like an open leg line. So when I close that knee or try to squeeze the magnet together, that's what gives me a better leg line from this angle. And this versus this still looks better in terms of that knee going over top. As far as arms go, I wanted you to expand a little bit more through your 2, thinking about elbow to wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist. Same thing, elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist, elbow, wrist. Everything arm styling comes from that position versus swinging it or just never fully finishing it. So going 1, 2 versus 1, elbow, wrist, continuing the motion. Cool?
Yes.